All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Jermall Charlo, Canelo Alvarez, and an offer Jermall Charlo is making to Canelo Alvarez, hoping to get him to agree to a fight that I think most people in boxing that are real fans of the sport want to see. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We're going to talk about Jermall Charlo, Canelo Alvarez, and a fight that is probably one of the biggest fights that can be made in boxing. One that rumor had it that Canelo Alvarez and Jermall Charlo were in negotiations for, and then Eddie Reynoso comes out and says that Jermall Charlo is not in negotiations with anybody for a fight, right? So people kind of swept it under the rug. But if that's the case, Jermall Charlo must not have heard the news, because he is continuing to press for the fight and talking about options to make the fight. And so he sends a message to Canelo. This is something that had come from, I heard it on the Boxing Voice, and the Boxing Voice, my understanding, got it from Fight Hype. So let's talk about that. But before I do, I want to ask you to support our sponsors, BUSR. You can go to busr.ag/Fanon, use the promotional code Fanon. When you bet $10, your money, we will be announcing the winners of a contest, and then you might be able to get another $250 or $500 to continue to wager. So make sure you guys go over there, support the channel over there. Also, subscribe to the channel, share the videos, like the videos, will be greatly appreciated. All right, so with all of that said, Jermall Charlo has now said to Canelo Alvarez, let's make this fight. I am willing to go to Mexico to fight you. I'll fight you in my own backyard. I'm from the state of Texas. We can make this Tex-Mex, right? Now, this is my thing, man. I hold out hope for Canelo Alvarez. That Canelo Alvarez is a guy that has a lot of pride in himself, has a lot of pride in the Mexican boxing tradition, which is to fight any and everybody that is considered a good contender for you, right? I'm holding out my hopes that is the case with Canelo Alvarez. You know, when I know that over the last several fights, Canelo Alvarez has not fought the best fighters. Now, he has fought guys that had belts. And, you know, so his supporters on YouTube and supporters on Twitter will say things like, well, you know, he's been fighting undisputed champions, or not undisputed champions, excuse me. He has fought undefeated champions, so that's what we need for him. However, we all know that not all undefeated champions are built the same, right? Jermall Charlo is somebody, fighters like Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez, Sergey, what is his name? Beterbiev, guys like that, Arthur Beterbiev, that's his first name. Those guys are a different level of fighter, in my opinion, in the opinion of many, I think, objective boxing fans, than guys like Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Rocky Fielding, guys like that who may be undefeated, but, you know, there are these UK fighters that were fighting over on Matchroom who pretty much may have had one or two international level fights, who were undisputed, but, you know, got their hands on a major championship belt. It's not the same thing, in my opinion, as beating a guy like Jermall Charlo, beating a guy like Demetrius Andrade, beating a guy like Arthur Beterbiev, or beating even a guy like Caleb Plant, which Canelo Alvarez did after he left DAZN. So I am still of the hopes that Canelo Alvarez is going to go on a streak of fighting guys that are difficult fights. So this particular offer from Jermall Charlo to go to Mexico, man, if that along with a lot of money being guaranteed by Showtime doesn't push that thing over the finish line, man, I don't know what to say, man, because not a lot of people are going to be willing. First of all, to say he'd be willing to go to Mexico City, I suspect that it would be in Mexico City, wherever. That is a That is an absolutely huge fight for Mexico. And for him to be, Jermall Charlo to be the one to instigate that and say, look, man, I'm willing to go over there. I'm from Texas. We ain't got any problem going to Mexico. Let's get the fight done. In Mexico, come on, man. Even the most hardcore, I'm not even gonna say hardcore, because I think most of the people that don't see this fight between Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez as being a really great fight, I don't even think you guys are really hardcore boxing fans. But even if you watched that on Showtime and you knew the fight was taking place in Mexico City, you have to know that right there is just adding a lot to the environment and to the fight. Canelo Alvarez himself said that he wanted to fight again in Mexico, and to take a big fight like Jermall Charlo there, I think would be absolutely, absolutely terrific, man. So I'm hoping that Canelo Alvarez takes that fight with him. I'm not believing that the fight between Jermall and Canelo is dead just because of something Eddie Reynoso, from what I understand what Eddie Reynoso said. Eddie Reynoso saying that they're not in negotiations yet and they got different options open and all of that type of stuff. You know, he said the same thing about Caleb Plant in the negotiations with Caleb Plant, right? That fight wasn't done, and then people had reported that it was absolutely done. The fight wasn't going to take place, but then they wind up getting the fight done after Eddie Reynoso and those guys go through negotiations for other fights, and then I have to suspect what they found was, yeah, nobody else is giving us this $40 million guarantee. Let's go take this fight, right? So with the fact that Showtime and Steven Espinoza are pushing to have more fights with Canelo Alvarez, I would believe that they've been in the past willing to put up that much money. I don't really know who else is going to put that much money out there for a Canelo Alvarez fight. Like, I know Eddie Reynoso said that he wanted to do the Macabu fight, right? But Macabu is not a Showtime fighter. Macabu is not a DAZN fighter. Who is going to be willing to give this guy a $40 million guarantee plus an upside of pay-per-views in order to fight Macabu? I mean, if DAZN would do that, I'm not sure. I've said this, but DAZN himself has said this, that they thought investing in the American market, they may have overdone it, and they think it's a very competitive market, and they may be trying to put their money elsewhere. So, unless DAZN was decided to really, really overpay for a fight like that, I just don't know who else is going to be able to make or willing to make the offers that Fox or Showtime, specifically Showtime and Steven Espinoza, would be willing to make for that fight, right? And one thing that Jermall Charlo said, when he was saying this to Canelo, about fighting in Mexico, he's like, look, the Jermall Charlo fight is going to be bigger than the Caleb Plant fight versus Canelo Alvarez. It's going to be a bigger fight, man, so let's do it. I'm just really hoping, man, that Canelo's pride kicks in and that he, is not going to overlook somebody. Number one, he can make a ton of money fighting a guy that is an undefeated champion, somebody that people have wanted to see him fight for a while, and somebody that, is willing to go to Mexico to do it and is a big enough a name to really sell a fight in Mexico, man. You got to make this fight happen. So, anyway, I'm still hopeful. I'm hoping Canelo Alvarez will accept it. I'm going to still maintain that, that if Canelo Alvarez fights and beat Jermall Charlo, look, man, the dude would have proven that the dude is willing to fight everybody, and that those fights that I believe to be kind of second tier were more a result of his relationship with DAZN than it was his intent not to fight, some of these guys that we've named. But anyway, that's my take on the situation. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.